At the beginning of the movie, the space research company Genesis is shown, where 6 astronauts are preparing to go to Mars. Actually, it was a project of the Genesis company to send these astronauts to Mars forever, so that they can stay there and test whether Mars is habitable or not. And if this project is successful, then his company will send more people to Mars. Well, the journey of these 6 people to Mars begins. Everything was going on normally, and 2 months pass in this journey. One day, Sarah, who is the head of Creo here, finds out that she is pregnant. She is very happy to hear this, but when the company on Earth finds out about this, they are worried about it. Well, still their journey does not stop, and after some time they all reach the march and continue their mission. Now that time comes when Sarah have to give birth to her baby. Then the rest of the astronauts help in the delivery of Sarah, and Sarah has a baby boy whom she is very happy to see. But then due to low gravity on Mars, she starts having complications and dies after a while. Now the Genesis company team on Earth checks the baby's medical report, from which they know that due to the difference in gravity, the bones of this baby are completely different from those of humans on Earth, and his heart is not like normal people. That's why even if we bring this child to Earth, he will not be able to survive in the Earth's atmosphere, so it has to be left on Mars. Then the head of the Genesis company decides that they will keep the baby on Mars. Now time flies and 16 years have passed since this project. That little boy has grown up now, and his name is Garner. Garner has been surrounded by very limited people since childhood and has seen very few humans in his life, and this is his all world. Garner is quite intelligent and continues to work on this project on his own. Garner wants to know about his mom. He only knows her name, he knows what she looked like, but he doesn't know anything more than that. Garner wants to know about his father, but there is no one there to answer his questions. One day Garner finds one of his mom's locker. Garner has always wanted to open it, that maybe he will get some information related to his mom. But that locker was locked with a password. Garner was quite good at technology, so he hacked the password and opened the lock. Inside he finds Sarah's bag, in which he finds an old ring and a pen drive. When Garner connects it to the system, he finds a video of his mom on the beach with a man, and they were having a lot of fun together. Garner guesses that these are his parents, and he takes a screenshot from this video and keeps it with himself. Now here we get to know another thing about Garner, that Garner also talks to a girl on Earth, whose name is Tulsa. These two are online friends, and Garner often talks to Tulsa. While talking one day, Garner tells her that he has osteogenesis imperfecta. Tulsa consoles him and says that's why you can't leave the house. Then Garner says it's not a house, it's a penthouse on Park Avenue, but Tulsa thinks he might be joking, so she doesn't pay much attention to him. Here we find out about Tulsa that her parents are not in this world and she lives in foster parents' house. But after every few months her house changes and no one fully adapts to her, due to which she sometimes has to stay in one house and sometimes in another house. One day, Garner leaves the penthouse, and while driving there, his vehicle flips over, due to which his oxygen pipe broke and he was having trouble breathing. But Kendra comes there to help him. Kendra is also an astronaut in their team and treats Garner like her own child. After bringing him inside, she asks him, how did you open this lock, how did you get his password? So Garner says he is living here since he was a kid, so it's no big deal for him to do that. Kendra then talks to the head of Genesis about this, and she tells them that Garner wants to come on Earth. He wants to see how everyone is on Earth, so we should do something for him. The boss of Genesis here wants the same, but he also knows that the old Earth is death for him. Then Kendra says that if they do the surgeries on his, to make her body according to the Earth's atmosphere, then so something can happen. But it was quite risky and the boss was a bit suspicious of it, but Kendra convinces them. After which Garner's surgeries take place, and drills are done in his body to improve his physical fitness as well, and in all these Kendra helps him a lot. Garner is so happy. He also tells Tulsa that he will come to see her soon. Just a few months of travel and then I will meet you. Hearing this, Tulsa is also very happy and says, I will wait for you, but don't be long before my house is changed. Garner says okay. Now that all the preparations were done, Garner was ready to go to Earth, and their ship leaves for Earth. On the way Garner asks Kendra about his dad. Do you know anything about him? Who he is or what his name was? So Kendra says, I don't know anything about him. If I had known, I would have told you. Now when Garner arrives on Earth, he undergoes some more medical tests, but the medical tests are negative, which means they are not in his favor. This saddens Garner as he knows that they will send him back to Mars after that. Now he runs away on his own before they send him to Mars, and running away from there he was very happy because now he was free. When Garner is walking in the outdoor environment, he observes it as Mars. When he jumps there, he can't jump high enough because Earth has more gravity than Mars. On Mars he doesn't need to exert that much force when he jumps. Now observing all this, he is moving around. Then suddenly it starts raining there, and everyone runs inside but not Garner because he sees the rain for the first time. And seeing this scene, he is quite surprised, but at the same time it makes him quite happy. Garner then catches a bus to meet Tulsa. On the other hand, Genesis head and Kendra are also looking for him. They find out that he is going to visit Tulsa. That is why they are also going to meet Tulsa, so that they can capture Garner and take them back to Mars with them. And because Garner knew only Tulsa on Earth, they knew Garner would only visit her. On the other hand, Garner arrives at the College of Tulsa. Garner is very happy to see the children there, because it is the first time he has seen so many children his age. While searching for Tulsa, he reaches out to her. She was taking something out of her locker. He calls out to her and says, "Hey Tulsa, I am Garner." Tulsa is completely shocked to see him, as if there was no hope that Garner would come to see her. Seeing him, she slaps him. Garner is shocked and asks why she slapped him. Tulsa then tells him that he has been missing for the past 7 months. So Garner says, "I told you I was going on a special kind of trip." Then she tells him that, "I have sent you many email messages, but you have not replied to any of them." Garner says, "It was a special kind of travel and that's why I couldn't contact you. But now I am here to meet you." Tulsa says, "Okay fine, now I'm going to take my class but you stay here." And then she goes to take her class. There the guard follows her and reaches her class, where the lecturer is teaching them. She thinks that Garner might be a new admission, so she lets him in and tells him to sit in the back. Garner also quietly goes back and sits down. Now here the teacher asks them a question, that who made the telegram, phonogram and light bulb. Then Tulsa says, "Thomas Edison." The teacher says, "Okay, so now tell me what you all know about Thomas Edison's life." Then a backbencher there says that Thomas Edison was badass. So Gardner says that he was not a badass, rather, he invented DC current and Nikola Tesla invented AC current, and he wasn't badass, just a bad person. Everyone is quite impressed after hearing this answer. After the class ends, Tulsa asks him that, "Now tell me the truth about where you are from." Then Garner tells her that he is that from Mars. Tulsa says, "What, from Mars?" So Garner says yes, but Tulsa doesn't believe him. Garner tells her that, "My mother died when I was very young. Since then I don't know who my dad is, and that's why I came here to find out about my dad, but I don't know anyone here except you." He then shows her the photos of his dad and tells her that I have to find him. Tulsa says, "Okay, I will help you, but first we have to go to my house," after which she brings him home on a bike. Tulsa goes home and picks up some of her money. Then the head of Genesis and Kendra also reach there. Kendra tells him that, "You come with us, otherwise you will get sick." But Garner says, "I won't go with you. I am here to find my dad and I will not go anywhere without meeting him." Saying this, he starts running away from there, going to catch him. Genesis head and Kendra follow him. They are about to catch him when Tulsa takes a plane and flies to him, which was lying in their fields, but she could not drive it properly. Then they run out of fuel in the air and their landing cannot be done properly, and then suddenly the plane is about to crash into a go down. But before it hits, Tulsa and Garner jump it. As the airplane crashes into the warehouse, there is a huge explosion. The head of Genesis also finds out, much to his dismay, but on the way down, they find that Tulsa and Garner jumped out of the plane before the blast, but now they have run away from here. On the other hand, Tulsa and Garner rent a car and start their journey in it. While traveling along the way, Garner is quite happy when he sees things around him, because he was on Earth for the first time. On the way, he also sees a horse, which scares him, because he saw a horse for the first time. Tulsa was a little surprised by his behavior, but she still didn't believe that he came from Mars. Later, when they are in a restaurant, Garner shows her a picture of his dad. Garner had a picture of his dad, but no name or address. Then Garner remembers the ring he found with the pen drive. That wedding ring was quite old and unique. When Tulsa googled it, it was a special type of wedding ring made by a special jeweler, and they find out his address and decide to go to him now. Meanwhile, Kendra gets a call from the doctor, who tells her that Garner's medical reports are not good. His heart cannot bear this gravity. He has to go out of gravity as soon as possible or his life is in danger. Hearing this, Garner and the head of Genesis are quite alarmed and they start looking for Garner again. On the other hand, Garner and Tulsa were having a lot of fun together. They stop at a place and buy some clothes for themselves, and then leave for that address. There they also meet the jeweler, who shows them a bill, and on the bill was an address to where they had to leave now. But along the way, Garner's health starts to deteriorate, and his nose bleeds, and after a while he faints. Tulsa becomes quite alarmed and rushes him to a nearby hospital. There, when the doctors check him up, they are quite surprised to see that Garner's heart is completely different from other humans, and his bones are completely different. Seeing all this, Tulsa also believes that everything Garner had been telling her so far was true, that is, he really came from Mars. He regains consciousness. He tells her that we have to leave here, but Tulsa says, "You need help." Garner says, "These people can't help me. I want the Earth very much, but perhaps the Earth does not suit me. I will not meet my dad." Tulsa understands this and they both leave. After they leave, the Genesis team arrives, but by then Garner and Tulsa have already left, and by making their journey, they reach the address that was written on the ring's bill. On reaching there, they find the house, where they also meet the person who was in the photo. Garner is quite surprised and happy to see him, because he thinks he has found his father. The man asks them who they are. Then Garner shows him the photo of his mom and that guy. Seeing this photo, the person gets quite emotional and asks, "How did you get this photo?" When here Garner tells him that Sarah was my mom and she died giving birth to me, he gets emotional and says that Sarah's death was just an accident. Garner says no, it was nothing like that. She is my mom and you are my dad. That person gets angry and says that I will also call the police. When he starts to call the police, Tulsa takes the phone from him. and says he doesn't know anyone here and he has come this far only to meet you. How can you do this to him? So that person says, I don't know why you guys are doing all this, but I am not his father. Tulsa then says, who are you then, because you are in this photo with her mom. So that person says that Sarah was my sister. Tulsa is very surprised to hear this, and when she looked back, Garner wasn't there. She immediately runs outside and sees Garner heading toward the ocean. She goes to stop him. Garner then says, leave me alone, I'm going to die. Tulsa then says that he is not your father, he is your uncle. Garner says, it doesn't matter, my mom was here and I can feel her. I could not decide to be born on Earth, but to die on Earth is in my hands. And after that he starts going underwater. But Tulsa stops him and pulls him out of the water, but Garner doesn't stop, and he was sinking under the water. Then the head of the Genesis company and Kendra came there, and then the three of them take Garner out together. Garner's condition was not good at all, and they make him conscious. While awake, Garner asks the head of Genesis how my mom was, so he says she was very kind and fearless. Then Garner sees tears in his eyes. Garner asks him that you are my father. So the head of Genesis shakes his head and says, yes, I am your father. Garner is overjoyed to hear this. By then the ambulance is also there and they take him to the airport by sitting in the ambulance. There is a special plane in which they take Garner away from gravity. The farther he is from gravity, the faster he will recover, but the pilot was not taking it up to a certain height. Seeing this, Garner's father gets very worried, and he quickly goes and sits in the pilot's seat and takes control of the plane himself. Now they are not allowed to take the plane out of gravity, but Garner's father wants to save it anyway. That's why he takes the plane out of gravity by taking it at full speed, and as soon as they come out of gravity, everyone starts flying, because they were no longer under the control of gravity. In no time, Garner's health begins to improve, after which he is brought back to Earth, and preparations begin to take Garner back to Mars. Garner was happy and also sad because he had accomplished what he came here for. He was moving away from his dad, Tulsa, and from Kendra, so he was very sad. But it is important for his health that he stays on the Mars. That's why Garner is sent to Mars. We then see Garner living on Mars again, and Tulsa and Garner talk online again. One day Kendra comes to meet Tulsa, and she tells her that I have retired from my job, so why not we both live together. That is, she adopts Tulsa here, which makes Tulsa quite happy. She then gets her to join a training program so that she can go to Mars to meet Garner in the future. Then we see the next scene of the movie, where Garner's father is on Mars to meet him. He is very happy to be with his father, and with that, the movie ends here.